It's a horse.
With a big mane. You didn't see a horse? Oh, maybe I didn't do a good job.
You made me do a good job.
Alright, so in this video, I'm just going to quickly show how to find some sort of image online. So I'm just going to do, in this case, a Bing search. I'm not sure when I switched over to Bing from Google. Kind of funny, but either way, whatever search engine, type in what you're looking for, click on images, and we're going to get this image. So I'm going to make a Rohan shield from Lord of the Rings for my kid. We've been on a kick of making different shields from Zelda, so I figured I'd switch it up and do Lord of the Rings. So I've got this image here. I'm just going to right click on that, save image as. I have already saved this, but it's right here. Just rename it to something that you're going to be able to find it easily. And JPEG is fine. So we got that image. Going to jump over to Carveco. I'm using Carveco Maker. It's been great for me. No problems. Going to do a new model. And this is already up for my typical sheets that I cut on my smaller CNC. So I've got a 19 by 19. And I have set the corner as my origin, lower left corner. So click OK. Alright, so let's get that image in here first. I'm going to do right click on bitmaps and I'm going to choose import. Double click on that. Don't know if you can hear my cat in the background here. Hey little buddy. Alright, so we've got our bitmap here. And you'll see that it's got its own layer here. So I am going to turn this bitmap into a vector. So up here, you've got your bitmap to vector tool. Super easy. Gonna reduce colors, and I just want a contrast, like it's gonna do an edge detection. And however many colors, it'll break those up into different vectors. But I just want an outline of these white things. So I'm going to drop this down to 2 colors. So I've got a black and a white. And I'm going to hit apply. I want this to be pretty smooth because I want to smooth out all of that pixelation that's happened from this being compressed to a JPEG from whoever made this. And I'm just going to hit create vectors. All right, look at that. It was super cool, and it did smooth it out. I don't have little jagged edges here, so great. All right, so we're cool with this tool. I'm going to get rid of this square that's on the outside. You might want that for whatever it is that you're doing, but in my case, I don't. All right, now I can now go and turn off my bitmap layers. Just hit that light bulb. All right, I got just the vector. Super cool, right? Wow. I can select these individually. Awesome. All right. I am going to put a circle around this. I'm going to center that up. This was 19. But I think I'm going to make the outside of this 18 inches. So I'm going to center this at 9.5. 9.5 to get me in the middle of my 19. And I want this to be 18 inches, so I'm going to give it a 9-inch radius. You could also just do diameter, but whatever. We're already here, so no problem. Awesome. Got my circle here. I already have this selected, so I might as well just offset this. I'm going to make a little border, raised border, so this looks a little bit more like a shield. So I'm going to offset another circle inside of here. I'll do that a 1/2 inch offset from this. And I want this to be inward. So we're cool. I'm going to hit offset. Boom. Got that. That's really easy. Carveco is really easy. I use Fusion 360 for more complex things and more complex toolpaths. But if I know I'm just going to be like doing a sign and like a vcarve or something, or even if I just have a DXF from Fusion, Carveco is really fast. I don't have to do a lot of thinking. I just get my vectors and I make toolpaths. So definitely recommend it. All right, so I'm going to just shrink this down a little bit so that it fits inside of this shield. Shrink it a little bit more, I think. Yeah. So this is just using that transform tool. That's kind of like all things relating to transforming this. So actually gives you a description, rotate, scale, or shear the selected objects. So I can rotate this around some point. I can scale it by dragging this corner. You can turn off this locked aspect ratio. So if I want to just scale in one dimension and not the other, but I want to maintain that aspect ratio. So I'm just gonna leave that locked. Kind of get this centered up here. All right, so here is our shield design. I want these items to be raised, and I want to carve out this background around this, and then I'm going to eventually cut this outer circle out so I get left with a kind of a shield. So let's select our horse, or Rohan horse, and I'm going to hold shift and click on that inner circle. And now if I do a vcarve, let's get this set up first here, but yep, this is kind of defaulted to some of the things I've done in the past, but I'm going to carve this 1/8 of an inch deep. I'm going to select my tools, my final carving tool. This would be kind of like your finish pass. I use an Amana V-bit, and that is the 11/16 quarter shank, 90 degrees. So right here, I'm going to select that. I'm going to change some settings here. So step over. The step over is going to get into some of these fine areas, and the more that you step it over, anything that my 1/4 inch bit that I didn't select yet, but anything my 1/4 inch bit doesn't clear out, this V-bit is going to get. And the more fine of a step over that you use, it'll get in there and kind of just like make multiple passes to clear up those areas. So maybe we'll just default it where it's at right now, this just over 1/10 of an inch. Let's just make it 1/10 so you can see that. Actually, let's do 1/8 of an inch step over so you can see what that looks like. Step down, I'm just going to go 1/8 of an inch deep. This is actually not the final depth. That max depth was set over here, but step down is what increments it's going to take to make it to that final step down, but I'll just set them to be the same, no problem. I'm carving this out of foam, so I'm going to put that kind of up towards my max feed rate. Plunge 20, sure. Foam doesn't really matter. I could do whatever. It's not going to do anything, but you're going to want to adjust these to the material you're actually carving into. All right. Now I'm going to add my roughing tool, which in this case, I'm going to be using one of those SPEtools. And I typically use a 1/4 inch O-flute from SPEtool for many things. It's just a really fast tool. I can rough a lot of material out really quickly, and especially on foam. So if I click on this, it'll expand it out. Step over, I'm going to set this pretty high. I'm going to do 0.2 inches. So I'm not quite using the whole end mill. for a good reason. You don't want like a little tiny bit of foam to be sticking up and you just have these little kind of like extra little bits that didn't get machined out. So I'm not going to quite max out that tool. Step down. Yep, that's fine. Feed rate. I can't go that high on my machine, so I'm going to drop this back down. 70. We'll do 30. Plunge rate. And I'm going to define my material. So I'm cutting this out of 3/4 inch thick foam. So just type that in here. All right. Okay, we've kind of defined everything. Paying attention to the fact that my step over on that V bit is 1/8 of an inch. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to say that this is the Rohan carve. And I'm going to calculate that. All right, so we got our toolpath here. I can kind of rotate that out. Let's click on this. I'm going to run the simulation so you can see what happens. All right, so we got these areas in here that it just isn't going to clear out because my 1/4 inch O-flute can't get in here to clear this material out. And my 1/8 inch step over on my V-bit was too much. It wouldn't be able to get in here either. So I haven't changed anything yet. I am just going to change my... Oh, wrong one. I'm going to go back up to my V-bit. I'm going to change my step over to 0.1. Let's see what that does. We'll recalculate this here. We will delete that last simulation we had. And let's resimulate this. Okay, so we're starting to get in there, but still not quite getting rid of that material that's inside of these little areas here. So I could keep going down with the step over. Let's go to half of that, 0.05, and we're going to recalculate again. Get rid of that. All right, so I am now getting rid of that material. It doesn't look fantastic, so you could keep taking these step overs down until it looks how you want it to look. Or you could use some different tool paths and clear out some of these other areas with a smaller tool. This is for my kid. I'm not going to really stress out about it, but just have that knowledge that you can change the step over so that you can get into tighter areas. All right. All right, so we have that tool path. That is carving out the main area. I'm now going to go back to my vectors. I'm going to click on this outside, and I'm going to run a contour cut, a profile cut on the outside of this vector. So it's already selected here, outside. That means that my tool is never going to cross over this line. It's just going to run on the outside of this. Some of you probably know that. Some of you might not have done a ton of stuff yet, so you're not sure the difference. But we have outside, inside, and along. So outside, I'm going to run on the outside of this. Inside, I'm going to run on the inside of this. And along means that my tool is going to be centered over this path. But in this case, I want to cut the outside. We're already set for finish depth of 0.75. That's going to cut all the way through this material. Great. I'm going to actually step that up a little bit higher so that I know I've cleared through the bottom of the material and I'm not like trying to cut this free of this stock that's on the outside here. All right, we're going to select our tool. I'm going to use that 1/4 inch O-flute. Again, that's a great tool, especially in foam. I mean, it just plows through it. It really doesn't take any force to cut through that. Step down. I'm gonna put this up. I'm gonna go up to a 1/4 inch because I don't want to tear out the foam either, so I don't want to go too crazy. I have a feeling I could probably cut through this foam in 1 3/4 inch pass, but there's no point to risk it ripping this thing off of the spoil board, because I'm just going to double-sided tape this down. So no worries, 3 passes at 1/4 of an inch is no biggie. Let's see here. Yep, we got everything. We'll put this back down to 30, 12,000 RPM. I don't know that you're really going to be able to do... You could calculate your chip load, but you're not going to get chips out of this foam anyway, so I'm not going to go off to FS Wizard and do any chip load calculations. I'm just going to cut this thing out. I do want to use some tabs, though, because I'm only taping this stock down around the outside. So I am going to put 4 tabs on this to hold it in place so it doesn't spin out and suck up into the spindle. So I got 4 tabs here. I'm going to use 2D. I'll make these 1/2 inch long, and I'll make them like 1/8 of an inch tall. And then we'll just add those. All right, so we got our 4 tabs here. Great. We have our material, and we'll just name this profile. Calculate. All right, we got our cut. Now, if I redo my simulation here, you'll see that I have indeed cut this out. I've got my 4 tabs. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have a vcarve in there, so we're cool on that. This looks pretty cool. All right, so the only thing left now is to export our toolpaths. I am running Gerbil. I don't have any kind of tool change macro, so I just do these manually. If you're running multiple 1/4 inch cuts back to back, or whatever tools you're using, if you're using the same tool for multiple toolpaths and they're all sequential, you could just do those all in one shot and not have to export these and pull up a different toolpath. But in this case, I'm gonna rough out all this material first with my O-flute. Then I'm gonna throw my V-bit in there, get that fine detail, and then I'm gonna put that 1/4 inch O-flute back in to cut this out. I'm not gonna stack both 1/4 inch O-flute toolpaths because I'm worried that coming in and doing this V carving here with this already cut out and just sitting on tabs might kind of get messed up a little bit. I might be moving this piece around since there's not a ton holding it, so we'll just do them as separate toolpaths. So we have our Rohan carve with the 1/4 inch. That is going to be my first toolpath, so I'll just make a folder to store these in. We'll name this Rohan Toolpaths. All right. And this is my Rohan O-flute, and it's the first toolpath that I'm going to run, the first tool. So I'm going to save that. All right. I'm going to bounce this back to the other side. The second one I'm going to do is that Rohan carve. So I'll put that over in my toolpaths to save. Hi, kitty. I don't know if you can hear my cat, so that's why I'm saying, hey, kitty. All right, so Rohan, this is going to be my V-bit, and it's the second toolpath. Save it. Put this one back over, and last I'm going to throw that 1/4 inch O-flute back in and cut this piece out. So we'll do O-flute, and this is toolpath 3. So save. All right, we got our toolpaths. This is pretty lackluster when you hit save. It's not going to be like, yep, you saved your toolpath to X location. So you're not going to see anything happening, but they are there. So let's just confirm that. We'll go to toolpaths, I'm going to Rohan Shield. Here's where I saved those. I got my Rohan O-flute 1. I've got my Rohan V-bit 2 and my Rohan O-flute 3. All saved within the last 2 minutes. Yep, so we're good. All right. So next, you've got your G-code here. We are going to hop over to our sender. So in my case, I use Universal G-code Sender, the platform version. It's been awesome. I was using Candle. I still have it installed here. Lots of bugs in Candle, so I made the switch over to the UGS platform, version 2.0.12, and that has been awesome. So let's just open up that file. That is in my documents. Carveco, toolpaths, Rohan Shield, and my Rohan toolpaths. So I'll just open up that first one. All right, there we go. Shows that our lower left is our origin. This looks correct to me. You can rotate around and look. Yep, I've got a couple plunges here. All right, great. And that's it. So you do that for each of those tool paths after you've installed your tools. So let's hop over to the machine and get this going.
It's spinning. Dad, that was like a mustache.
Yeah, it does kind of look like a mustache, you're right.
It is a mustache.
Is it a mustache?
Yeah, it is.
Swapping out for the Amana tool, 11/16 90-degree V-bit. Going back to the SPEtool 1/4-inch O-flute. That's like my go-to for pretty much everything that's not V-carving.
Dad, what kind of did that big circle?
What does that look like in there? What kind of animal do you think that looks like?
It's a horse.
With a big mane. You didn't see a horse? Oh, maybe I didn't do a good job.
You made a good job.
Does it look good though?
Yeah, it looks good.
Oh, okay. There you go. Rohan Shield.